What if the greatest escape in history, the Exodus, had unfolded under the thunder of helicopter blades? The Bible tells us one of the most dramatic stories ever recorded. God raised up Moses to confront Pharaoh, to demand freedom for his people after centuries of slavery. When Pharaoh's heart hardened, God sent plagues upon Egypt, showing his power above all false gods. Finally, Pharaoh relented, and a sea of people, men, women, and children, poured out of Egypt, heading toward the unknown, guided only by the promises of God. But behind them, the sound of war rose. Pharaoh changed his mind. His armies, armed with swords, spears, and horse-drawn chariots, thundered after the Israelites across the desert sands. This was a moment of terror. Imagine being a parent, clutching your child, looking back and seeing dust clouds rising on the horizon. Egypt's most feared warriors bearing down on you. That is the real story. Now imagine a twist. Instead of only walking by foot, instead of only watching the pillar of fire by night and the cloud by day, the Israelites suddenly hear a sound unlike anything in their world, the heavy chop of rotor blades. Helicopters, modern machines of war and transport, cutting through the desert skies. How would the story unfold then? To understand the clash, let's picture the strengths of both sides. Pharaoh's army in 1400 BC was one of the most powerful in the ancient world. Egypt's military dominance was built on the chariot, a fast, deadly weapon that gave them speed, mobility, and a tactical advantage in open terrain. Armed with bows and short swords, Egyptian charioteers could cut through infantry with devastating effect. For ordinary people on foot, Pharaoh's army was unstoppable. But now compare that with the modern machines of the sky. A single Apache helicopter can unleash guided missiles that strike from miles away, with accuracy no archer could ever imagine. Each helicopter can carry heavy guns capable of firing hundreds of rounds in a single minute. They fly faster than any horse could run, see in the dark with night vision, and can hover silently before striking with overwhelming force. Against wooden chariots and bronze weapons, this is not even a contest. It's technology centuries ahead of its time. Picture the scene. The Israelites, exhausted, stumbling through the desert, suddenly lift their eyes. Over the horizon comes the rhythmic pounding of blades. Helicopters arrive, some designed for transport, lowering ropes and platforms to lift the elderly, the sick, and the children. Cargo choppers drop crates of water and food into the camp. Mothers and fathers watch in awe as supplies arrive from the sky, as if heaven itself were raining down provision. Meanwhile, the thunder of Pharaoh's army grows closer. Chariots line the ridges, their bronze catching the sun. Dust billows. Soldiers shout. The people panic. But overhead, Apaches bank into position. Pilots lock onto the enemy formations. At the pull of a trigger, rockets streak across the desert. Explosions tear the sand. Horses rear up, terrified, throwing riders. Chariots splinter. For the Egyptians, it is as though fire itself is falling from heaven. What chance does a spear have against a machine gun? What defense is there against guided missiles? Within minutes, Pharaoh's army, an army that terrified Israel, is in chaos. Discipline collapses. Horses bolt. Soldiers scatter. The might of Egypt's chariots, once the pride of Pharaoh, lies broken in the desert dust. If helicopters had escorted the Israelites, the entire pursuit might have ended right there. No desperate cries at the Red Sea. No walls of water parting as people ran across on dry ground. No fear of encirclement. The helicopters would have cleared the skies, evacuated the vulnerable, and broken the Egyptian advance before it even reached the camp. And what about the wilderness? The Bible tells us that Israel wandered for 40 years. They struggled with thirst, hunger, and fear. They relied on manna from heaven, water from rocks, and daily miracles to survive. But with helicopters, supply lines could be established. Food, medicine, and fresh water could be delivered daily from the air. A journey that took decades could shrink to weeks. At first glance, this sounds like a victory beyond measure. No suffering, no hunger, no desperate waiting. An instant triumph of freedom and survival. But then we must ask, would the Exodus still be the same story? Because the truth is this: the Exodus was never only about escape. It was about transformation. The Bible makes it clear, God did not just want to pull his people out of Egypt. He wanted to pull Egypt out of his people. He wanted to teach them to trust him, to rely on his strength, to walk by faith, not by sight. The pillar of fire at night, the manna from heaven, the parting of the Red Sea. These miracles were not accidents of history. They were God's deliberate plan to reveal himself, to show that no army, no Pharaoh, no desert could stand against his power. Each miracle was a lesson. I am the Lord your God. Trust me. If helicopters had done the saving, would those lessons have been learned? Would Israel have seen the hand of God, or just the power of human invention? Would they have marveled at his glory, or simply at the machines? Perhaps the people would have arrived in the promised land faster, healthier, and stronger. But maybe they would have missed the deeper miracle. Freedom of the body is one thing. Freedom of the soul is another. And the Exodus was not only about leaving Egypt. It was about meeting God, about shaping a nation that would one day bring forth the Savior of the world. So yes, helicopters could have scattered Pharaoh's army. They could have supplied the people, shortened the journey, erased the suffering. But they could not replace what God was doing, building faith, forging trust, and proving his power in ways that no machine could ever imitate. So what do you think? If the Exodus had been escorted by modern helicopters, would it have been a triumph of freedom or a loss of faith's greatest lesson? Share your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to join us again for more from Beyond What If.